Hey, good morning. Yes, it is. It's Monday. Yep, back to the work week. But for some of us like me that is a workaholic, it's just another day. Today is March 25th, almost the end of the month. I thought today we would talk about how do you gear up? How do I gear up? Because our season for the lawn and garden doesn't typically start till April. And it started a little early this year because we were seeing 60-degree weather and almost 70. But a little groundhog bastard and Mother Nature threw us a little bone. And it lasted almost 2 weeks, so we thought we were out of it. We had a blizzard come in, which not a blizzard, but a whiteout, and we got a little over 5 inches of snow. And yesterday it was 9 degrees when I got up, and it got up to 29 degrees yesterday afternoon for a high. Today it's 11 degrees out. It's supposed to get up to around 54 for a high. Stick around. We're going to talk about what are you doing to get ready for your lawnmower season. Alright, welcome back to the channel. My name is Eric, if you didn't already know that. I do a weekday show Monday through Friday. This is the weekday, Monday, starting of the week. I also do a few videos over the weekend, and then I also throw out some videos on lawnmower repair. Now, we do a little bit of everything here, personal growth to how to treat your gas for your lawnmower and how to fix something. So, the burning question is, what are you doing to get ready? Now, this past winter has not been a typical winter. And all you have to do is just ask some of my friends that have snowmobiles. See, back when my kids were younger, we had a pair of sleds. And every weekend, we'd trail ride. And up here in the Adirondacks, you can go quite a ways. You can go all the way to Plattsburgh if you want, and all the way down through to Utica. And that's just on a snow machine. Not so much these last few years. And this past winter was no different in that when we got snow, we got dumped. But it didn't last. It didn't last long enough to get a good pack for the folks to ride their sleds. It also didn't stay long enough for people to go out and break their snowblowers. So we only saw 3 snowblowers this past winter. And that's typically our bread and butter during the winter months, is working on somebody's snowblower that they busted or so forth. I mean, we still did all of our regular services, and some of our customers never even got the snowblower out. They just said, let it melt. So what did you do in the off season? See, our season is gearing up. So normally, typically, it's mid-April to the end of April that we start getting a lot of calls. We have been doing the lawn and garden stuff now. We've done some lawnmowers, walk-behind trimmers. In the off season, what I've done is I've actually used that time to learn more about how to do YouTube. And trying to hone in on what you guys would like to see versus what I'm doing. Because sometimes what I think is good information is boring to you because you already know that, right? And I never run out of content. I think I told you in one video that the things that I do, and if you're not doing it, you might consider it, is I have my good days, and then my days are the days that, I sit there and think, what do I talk about today? What is going to interest, the folks on the channel? And you can't, nothing works. Nothing comes to mind. But on those better days, when I'm thinking about content, you've got all these different ideas, So what I've learned to do, and it's helped me immensely, I've been doing this for years now, is on those good days of where everything is just clicking, you know what I'm talking about, I write down things that I want to accomplish. And I also, now that I'm doing YouTube, I write down things that I want to talk about that I think would be interesting to you guys. And the best thing about the channel is it's not a one-way street. I use the channel to answer questions that I have on certain things because I know a lot of you guys are very knowledgeable. And I'm grateful that you're willing to share that knowledge with all of us. So, in saying that, what I've done over the winter months is the most boring job you can ever have, and that is going through inventory. Now, what I can tell you is I have had lawn and garden inventory in boxes in the back room that haven't seen the light of day in 7-8 years. They were deemed unsellable. And Ed, you were talking about, throwing some of your Briggs parts and stuff like that up on eBay. I haven't quit doing eBay, Amazon, Sears, Walmart. I am continuing a presence there, but not in the sense I had been in the past years. I mean, during the height, we were carrying, I want to say, probably 2 to 3 million parts online that you could order, and then if there was a part that you didn't see and you wanted, I could get it. Because one of the things that I did was I became a dealer for all the different brands. And then I became a dealer for the aftermarket companies with 2 of the biggest ones out there. So there wasn't anything I couldn't touch. And the reason I was able to do it was I didn't have the overhead that most people did. We didn't stock 3 million parts, not even close. We had access to it. And back then, back orders were considered rare. And if I did run into a back order, a lot of times I could tell the customer that had ordered it, it's on back order, they're estimating, what do you want to do? We can cancel it, or and a lot of times they'd say, keep it there, I'll wait another week or 2 to see if it comes in. Not so much anymore, because China had pretty much decimated the venues. And what gets me is, back during my height, and I think even you could say that now, like Amazon became my biggest competitor, and I was selling on Amazon. And if you had one bad feedback, or you had a late ship, or they would kick you off their platform, and you would sit there and have to appeal it. And it makes me laugh to a certain extent, because when I look at Amazon of today, it's nothing like it used to be. Amazon today is a free-for-all. They don't have those strict rules anymore unless it's for U.S. sellers that are competing with them. And when I say competing with them, back then Amazon was typically a bookstore. All right, I even sold my college books through Amazon. But then once Amazon started to open the doors to other products, is when I took advantage of selling on their venue. And it wasn't so much the OEM parts, because what I can say is that the OEM manufacturers, distributors, were very specific on you need a shop, you need a retail space before we will sell you a part. You're not going to be a venue like Amazon. The aftermarket companies, not so much. They claimed that, you had to have a shop and be a repair person, this and that. But what would end up happening is I would list like a bunch of Sten's products or Rotary. Those were the two big brands that I used. And Amazon would watch, and anything that I was selling on a regular basis, they all of a sudden started selling. And I was competing directly against them. They would start, if I had it for sale, they'd sell it for 5 cents less. And if you dropped it down to what their price was, they drop their price down 5 cents. And that was my first exposure of competing against a big brand like Amazon. And they taught me well, because I'd already seen the writing on the wall as the Chinese were coming in. Another Amazon competing directly with me on my venues. But I knew early on I couldn't compete with China. But getting back, the back room was very full of boxes of new old stock. Still in the packaging, everything. So I decided that this year, during the off season, since we weren't getting much snow either, what can I do to make this time valuable, is a good word. Because you can sit around and twiddle your fingers and complain all you want if the business isn't there, or you can find stuff to do. Excuse me. And Travis pointed that out. And thank you so much. Sometimes I need a swift kick in the ass. Don't we all? But I remember you, Travis, saying, why don't you get the place cleaned up? Why don't you put some fresh paint? Why don't you do... And I started thinking, you know what? Why not? Why not take advantage of this time to catch up on things that we normally don't have time for? So I went about doing the cleaning. We did the toolbox challenge and buying. I had shelving. I just hadn't utilized it the way I needed it. And a few Harbor Freight runs to help with the DeWalt drills and impact drivers and stuff to stand for that. One of the other things, after I think it was you, Jason, that mentioned go with the different lighting, the LED, because it's cheaper and brighter. I think you mentioned that as well, Travis. We took out all the old and put all in new. I think we end up with 25 or 30 shop lights that were replaced. And I took some of those that were in better shape and I put them up in my garage. But I'm trying to think, probably I should have just put fluorescent in my garage. But in the process of hanging those lights in the back room and cleaning, I'm like, what are all these boxes? So I started opening the boxes, and it's all brand new old stock, cables, um, you name it, that were bought during the fast moving days of online sales to when it slowed down, and the non-compete stuff. And there was a lot of OEM stuff back there too. So I had a crusade after I got done cleaning, and we also, during this off period in time, we take and I do a beef for the family, and then we have two done by a butcher shop that I sell. I've still got 6 others if anybody wants any meat that are ready, but it doesn't hurt them. They're going to continue to grow. They're just 2.5-year-olds steers, Angus, and they'll put on another 500 pounds this summer. But I have that period in that I schedule in during the cold months because I want the meat to hang in the back room for at least 2 weeks to 14 days. Well, it is 14 days. So what I ended up doing was I started pulling all those boxes out and dusting them off, and one by one I've been going through them and writing down in a tablet what it is, what the part number is, and like any of the gasket sets and stuff. I took a file cabinet and used the file folders that I had I used, for the business early on that wasn't being utilized. Said, you know what, that would work great. So I used the file cabinet, and I would put the part numbers on the folders and put the gasket set in there, and that way I knew exactly where it was. So when I listed it on eBay and Amazon, it was this part number and then file cabinet, so I knew where it was. And I was surprised of how fast those parts started moving. And I've had $1,500, $2,000 weeks throughout the winter of just selling the new old stock that have been sitting out there that now wasn't readily available. A lot of it was on back order, or the manufacturer just quit. They discontinued them. I'm not telling you to buy a bunch of parts and put them in the back room and they'll grow in value. No, not even close. I'm just saying that instead of letting it sit there and not utilizing it and turning it into what I call new inventory, and this is what I also do in the off season, is I know pretty much how many machines we're going to encounter throughout the summer, and I buy in bulk. But I don't buy it all at once. I don't do preseason orders and stuff. Never have. Even when I was selling almost $1 million in parts. I did it a couple times, $20,000 preseason orders. From year to year, it changes on what the demand is for certain stuff. So you can get stuck. But some of the things that I buy, I did a video on it. Oil filters, fuel line, your basic stuff. And I buy some air filters. But I take the money, instead of having it all come out in the spring of the year, where it ends up being like a $4,000 or $5,000 order, I spread it out over the winter months, where I'll buy a couple of cases of this one oil filter, put it in the back room with the oil filters, and I just start looking at my inventory and where I'm at and what do I want to have on hand. And if we need a couple parts here and there to order from one of the aftermarket companies, Rotary, then what I do is I have the list of stuff that I want to add before spring hits. And if the order isn't up to the, I think it's 150 with rotary now for free ship, I add some of that stuff in to get it to $151 to save the shipping. So I'm all stocked up now and ready for spring. I got the spark plugs, oil filters, fuel filters. We even got 55-gallon drums of 10W30 synthetic sitting out in the shop ready to go. All bought and paid for, not on time. That will put money back in my bank account as we go. So my question to you, I'm going to start wrapping this up, is what have you been doing during the off season to keep yourself busy? Have you seen it slower than normal? And are you ready for the spring? What are you stocking? What are you not stocking? Right now, we're all set and ready to roll. And I like the way the shop looks, and you guys are totally 100% correct in getting it cleaned up. It just the best was when I put the new lighting in the LED. I couldn't see the dirt that much before, but then it really showed up. So then I had to clean, right? But what are you guys doing? I mean, this is what I've been doing. I'm still doing inventory. I still got quite a few boxes left, and I'm going through, draw by draw in the part sections. And on that, you guys have a great Monday, and thanks so much for watching the videos and being part of the channel. So on that note, you guys have a great day, and we'll catch you tomorrow.